Hello and welcome to Tashana's Kitchen. I am Tashana and this is Farm to Future Food SPC. Today's video, 2.5, is in honor of my husband's birthday, and if you didn't catch the first one, the link is down below. We made rum raisin carrot cake. It will be a 3-layer with cream cheese frosting, which is what we're going to work on this morning. So here we get going on our frosting. I went ahead and pre-measured everything out. We have 2.5 cups of confectioner's sugar, and we have a half a teaspoon of the Himalayan salt, and it's here in the dry ingredients. We also have 2 8-ounce sticks of Philadelphia cream cheese frosting and 2 sticks of unsweetened butter, as well as a tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. And I always actually use a little extra vanilla, but today we're using another tablespoon of almond extract, pure almond extract, because my husband really enjoys that flavor. It meshes very well with the pecan in the cake. So let's go ahead and get started on making our cake frosting. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cakes that were in the refrigerator overnight and turn them over. And we're going to take them out of our pans. And since we went ahead and used the coconut oil spray and the flour, and then we have our cut rounded pieces of parchment paper. As you can see, they came out very nicely. And the parchment paper is still on there, and we're going to go ahead and leave that there until we actually layer up our cakes. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, we're ready to get the frosting rolling, and I went ahead and put away all the other ingredients. I set up my rolling tray so that I am able to put my cakes on it once we get going. Over here we have our 2 sticks of cream cheese going in. And then we're going to get our butter put in there. Going to go ahead and give this a second to get going. My butter and my cream cheese slightly mixed, I'm going to go ahead and put in my powdered sugar. Generally I would only pour in half, however it decided to just all go in there at the same time. We're going to start on low, give it a second. Use my rubber spatula barely on the edges, never near where my actual turning mechanism is. But I also want to get all this yummy goodness in there. Get that whipping up. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a moment. I'm going to whip that up for 3 minutes until there's absolutely no pieces or chunks of the powdered sugar. You want it super well mixed before you add in your extract. So I'll get back to you in 3 minutes. It's been 3 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and put in our extracts. Remember, today I'm using vanilla and an almond. Wanted to let you know that halfway through that 3 minutes, I did go ahead and stop and make sure all of the powdered sugar was back in the bowl. Anything that had gone up is now in there, and so it was completely mixed. Once again, no pieces or chunks of powdered sugar is in there. It's completely smooth, mixing up very nicely. Now, it's looking pretty darn nice. Has a nice thin consistency, so I will be able to put it layered on the cake, and it will hold. It's not going to drip off. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. All right, washed my hand, got the frosting off. Guess I should have showed you that afterwards. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn our cakes over. Find the best edge that was up on. Now, because sometimes you have a little that reaches your edging here around, not just on the bottom, you want to peel that off around nice and slow first. Remember, we're not here to win a race. We're here to make a beautiful cake. Go ahead and let that go on here. I'm letting the flakes go down on the table, which I'll clean up later, because I know there's going to be some. See where the towel comes in nice and handy. Wipe it off. Turn it over gently. Center your cake where you want it on your plate and set it down. I'm going to go ahead and turn that over on the next one. Look for the big edge. Here it is. And you'll notice there may be a little bit of flaking and you may see a little color. You can just wipe that off or up against the cake edge. Now you don't want to handle the cake too much, like I just turned it that one time. That'll be the only time other than putting my hand on the other side of the cake. Because the more you touch it, the more your oils are going onto the cake, even with clean hands. And it tends to make it stick a little bit more and get crumblier. And it makes it harder for your frosting to stick when you're putting that really nice first initial coat on. So one turn and bringing it off. Wipe the finger, turn it over, middle right there. Beautiful. And today I'm actually going to turn it over so it's flat like this. This is how our cake will look once we put it together. Once we have our layered frosting in between, which is over here, and I'm going to show you that now. Oh, it's beautiful icing. If you like yours a little thicker, all you need to do is increase your powdered sugar a half a cup at a time, and you too will have a little bit thicker. But I wanted icing for my layers in between. So I'm going to go ahead and put my icing in between the layers, and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done. Okay, my work area has been cleaned up, and now I'm ready to get the next step going. I've put the icing in the refrigerator with the nice metal mixing bowl to make it cold real quickly so it sets a little nicer on my layers and in between. One thing I'm going to do is take the rest of the rum I had and I'm going to brush on top of my cake a little rum glaze. It'll be a nice sweet little surprise in between each of the layers, and it'll just keep it nice and moist and add a sweet little taste. So there's the first one. I'm not putting on so much that it's gonna soak the cake and make it gooey, sticky, and fall apart. Just enough to say, hey, I'm here. And this top layer, we're actually going to do the other side, because this will be the top of our cake. I like the nice flat look. We'll be able to level out the rest of it. You can either use the tool, which is a knife look that splits it, or you can just add enough frosting that makes it look level on the edges, which is what I prefer to do because it gives a nice extra little layer of frosting on the edge, and you're wanting to hold it together anyway. So that will be a little thicker, just one ring around each layer, and then the icing in between. All right, we've gone ahead and we have now put the rum on top, and we're going to go ahead and get ready to do the frosting. All right, we have our frosting that is nice and chilled. It came out of the fridge, and yes, it still seems really thin, and remember that this is an icing. I'm not looking for it to be super thick, so we're just going to put some on. I always start in the middle and smear it around a little bit. And then we start doing the turn. When you work your way from the center to the outskirts, what you have on the extra edge of your spatula is going to spread down towards the edge of your cake. And since I want to have an icing, I'm totally okay with it going around the edge, which we will do last once the cake has been assembled. I'm trying to make sure that my icing is layered perfectly even across the cake. That way each bite is the same and helps with that whole layer effect of what we're trying to create, that perfect decadent bite. It's definitely worth the extra time and effort. When you put a little love in it, it's shown in the end. Alright, see, we need a little bit more there. Almost done with this layer. You can see it's starting to come down the edge, and that is perfectly awesome. And we will welcome that. A little more on that edge, just so it can dribble a little. Alright, see a hair of a brown spot there. Okay, that's looking really nice. I think that layer is complete. Go ahead and set this out of my way. Pick up my cake, turn it over. Actually, I think it'll look nicer this direction. We'll just go ahead and put it flat that way, even though we already layered that side. Alright, and we're going to start in the middle again. Want to bump that. Get my little turn going. Really do enjoy the icing rather than having a super thick frosting, especially when you have nice triple layer cakes. When it's a single layer and it's a thick cake, then understand having a thicker frosting. If you like a thicker frosting, that's fine too. Sometimes I take half of my frosting and separate it so that I can put it in with a little bit more. Oops, missed a little there. That's okay, I'll just use it. So you can put more around the edge using an actual icing tube, and it spreads really nice and it holds up and it keeps it from dripping, which I'm wanting it to drip. I'm wanting that effect on my cake today. But if you're wanting to have it nice and level and look level in between, then you can have a thicker one. When I have this done, I will put it in the refrigerator and let it get nice and cold again once it's put together. And then I will go back with the rest of the icing up here. I will thicken it up, and then I'll go in here and do a little swirl around the edge. It'll be super fantastic. All right, now are we on here perfectly? And that looks good. Okay, last layer. Give me a little swirl. Okay, and to the middle. And this top layer, we're going to have a little extra dribbling off so that it creates that effect and goes all the way around. Another little dribble. The beauty of making a cake is there are several ways to do the decorating, and each person has their own unique way. Like I said, you could have the thicker frosting in between your layers first, or you can do it this way and know that your icing layer in the center is equal and then just filling around the edge. Or you can leave it completely like this with just the drizzle on the edge. It's totally up to you and who you're making your cake for and what they like. Son doesn't like any frosting at all, so I tend to want to have one that has no frosting and then one that has frosting because I enjoy frosting personally, even not on the cake. Alright, let's get a little going down the side here. This top layer is going to make the neat effect I'm looking for, which you will see as it rounds the corner here. The beauty with this one is it almost takes care of 3 layers in one. As you're going around. Oop, a little more there. Spatula touch the edge. I don't want it to look like I'm touching. I want it to look like a natural drizzle still. Since this is a drizzle frosting cake. If you have other ideas and tips that you do with your cake frosting that you would like to share, please put it in the comments below, because I'm always interested in researching and learning and then teaching new things and repeating that. It happens to be the motto from the Christian University, GCU, or Grand Canyon University, where I have my master's degree in teaching special education, kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm taking a break because, as I've mentioned, I've had some health issues going on. And it's not really fair to the students or myself to not be able to be there every single day. Therefore, I am moving for a new career choice, and I'm still teaching, and I enjoy this. And I hope you enjoy my video as well. If you do, go ahead and give a like down below. If you have any suggestions for me to improve, I love constructive criticism now as well, and I welcome it. Alright, we're getting a nice spin on this cake. The drizzle's looking good on each of the layers. Alright, yeah, you're almost able to see the nice drizzle that's coming along. Drizzle cake has such a neat effect. I love the obscurity of it. Notice how I'm just doing it on the edge, and I'm kind of swirling the cake just a hair. And the reason I'm doing that is because as I'm looking down, I'm seeing what we do not have down below. So I tap it from the top, and then as it drizzles down on its own, I'm able to tell it to keep going by adding either a little more like that, and it drops to the second level. A little bit more, there you go. And then I can say touch, touch, touch on the edge. And we need just a hair more on there, so we'll put it up here. And as it drips, it'll go in, down, and I kind of touch it as it goes. And now we have all this area covered. Alright, how are we doing over there? We're almost around to the back to the beginning. I'm just going to keep on going. I do appreciate you checking out this video, and can't wait to get outside to finish video 1, which was closing up the garden for winter and showing do's and don'ts in the garden. And I now have a big don't, because as I mentioned yesterday, we have a cornworm beetle, western cornworm beetle, that I am now dealing with, and I cannot have corn for 2 years, so I am putting down a cover crop, which is one of my SPC goals, which is to increase my cover crop on the property, which is phase 1, 10% each year. And so to honor that, I am working on my 10% goal and getting my cover crop down where I will not be planting corn. But in the spring, because I've had a cover crop doing nutrients into the soil, I'm going to be ready to go and plant something else in there that's beneficial to the ground. So I'll still be able to use the area, just not with my corn. So what I'm doing is I'm going around the edge, and I'm slowly going closer and closer to the cake with the edge of the towel. And the reason I'm doing that is it pushes it up to the cake, and it gets rid of all this excess stuff. It makes it equal, and if you do it slow enough and keep going around, it fills in the holes, the air holes at the bottom, and it makes your whole bottom row have the equal amount of frosting after you've done this huge dribbling technique. But you have to do it slow, otherwise you miss, and then it'll continue to drip back to the original place. Or leave space marks and holes where the air seep back through right here, for example. And I want to close that. Oh, now I stopped. I've got to back up. Get a clean spot. Back up halfway around and slowly come back in and continue my trail. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'm happy with my drizzling. I'm going to go ahead, put this back into the refrigerator, get it nice and chilled again, and add a little bit more powdered sugar to it, clean up my table, put this in the refrigerator as well and let it get nice and cold so that I can come back in here and fill the edging of the cake if I want, or I can write happy birthday on it, or I can simply leave it the way it is. You can also sprinkle on some cute candy, whatever you feel you'd like to do to personalize your cake. It's entirely up to you. So I'm Tashana. This is Tashana's Kitchen. We are Farm to Future Food, SPC, and happy birthday to my husband. I love you very much. Here is your dark rum raisin carrot cake with cream cheese icing. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Please check the links below, and if you like this and you make the recipe and you find out it's wonderful or you don't like it, please let me know. I'd love to hear. Come on back and tell me in the comments below. Have a great day.